Let's try this again. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ryan Hafey with Hafey Digital. This is episode number 3 of the Hafey Digital Podcast, where I do my best to help creators make to the max. In this episode, we are going to do a recap of the recent creator retreat / YouTube business workshop that I attended recently. Also, I'm going to reveal some of my plans for 2020. Let's roll that intro. Of course the intro wouldn't work. Why would the intro work? Hang on. Nope, that's the wrong one. Oh, there we go. Of course, it wouldn't work, but it's okay because this podcast is being broadcast on a brand new channel, and I'll get into why I'm doing that, but there's not too many people watching, it looks like, so I can kind of get away with that, I guess, at least for now. So yes, as you will notice, if you are a watcher of the podcast, I have moved the podcast over to a completely separate channel. Again, I'll get into the details of exactly why I decided to do that later on, and it's actually part of the whole discussion around this creator retreat that I went on last weekend, and some of the things that I kind of learned and took away from that. So I really wanted to get into that. So let's just do it. Let's just talk about that retreat. So if you listened or watched last week's episode, which actually was aired on Thursday because I was leaving on Friday to go to California for this workshop, you will know that I was going to a kind of just a creator retreat. It was headed by Jevin Dovey and Levi Allen. Those may be two names that you're familiar with. They are two YouTubers who have very interesting and different perspectives on how to basically make a profession on YouTube. And they basically arranged a trip. There was the two of them plus myself and 4 other aspiring creators. And we all just went out and decided to meet in California and have some fun, talk shop, talk about YouTube, learn some things about analytics, the business of YouTube, and also learn about storytelling. But I'll just kind of go through the series of events that played out. So we started, and by the way, if you'll notice, I'm sick. The thumbnail for this podcast, by the way, that's a thermometer in my mouth. That's not like a cigarette or anything. I kind of realized after the fact that if you're looking at that thumbnail nice and small, that it may look like some kind of cigarette or something. But no, it was a thermometer. It was my attempt to be cute and play off the fact that I'm a little under the weather right now, but the podcast waits for no one. But that's why I have tea here in my favorite mug. So I'm going to take a sip of tea. Anyway, all right, so the retreat. Last Friday, I headed out to California, and we all met up in Palm Springs at the base of, I think it's Mount San Jacinto, if I'm saying that correctly. Basically, it's this big mountain in Palm Springs, and it's got this cable car that goes practically vertically from the ground up to the top of the mountain. There's snow on the top of the mountain. You can kind of go up there. There's tons of great views, and you can just kind of wander around and explore the area. So it's a really cool place, and that was a good place for us to all kind of get together and get to know each other and kind of make that first introduction versus just kind of, meeting up at a house and having to shake hands. This was a great first impression for everybody. So we all met up, went up in this cable car, and then took some time after wandering around for a little bit to get to know everyone. I'll try to rattle off the names of the guys that were there. There was Brendan. There was Vadim, who is from Lithuania, which is pretty cool. We got Ben. We got Wesley. And who else was there? Oh, and then there was me, obviously, and then Levi Allen and Jevin Dovey. And I have some notes here written down on my phone just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But yeah, the first day was more just kind of an introductory day. After we left Mount San Jacinto, we left and drove about 45 minutes to Yucca Valley, California, where the house was at that we were staying at. It was an Airbnb, really nice place. It had kind of the main house, which had, I think, like 3 bedrooms in it, nice big open spaces. And then across, if you go out the back of the house, there's a small pool, which we did not go in for obvious reasons. It was pretty cold, and the pool, at least when we were there, was not heated. But the pool house had like 2 or 3 bedrooms, There was also, interestingly enough, a yoga studio there, which was pretty cool. We did not also use the yoga studio, but it did have a yoga studio. Had a fire pit out there, just surrounded by a whole lot of not much, which was great, just kind of being outdoors. It was a lot of fun. So that night of the first night, that Friday, we all hung out and had some workshops the first day. Day 2, did some more workshops in the morning, and then, had our breakfast and all that. After that, we went over to, it was called the Noah Purifoy Outdoor Museum. And if I remember correctly, this guy, I guess throughout his life, just collected a bunch of what most people would consider junk, scrap metal, TVs, toilets even, and he would make this kind of art installation sort of, again, seemingly in the middle of nowhere in California, but you could just walk around. He's recently passed, but you can walk around and see all the stuff that he's put together. He's actually done some really cool things with, as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So really cool place to go and explore and get some B-roll and kind of practice composition and things like that. After that, we headed out to Joshua Tree National Park, where again, the goal was just to kind of go there, explore, film, and do some more workshops. We did a workshop with Levi where he kind of broke down storytelling and had us do some exercises as far as, how basically come up with. He gave us an outline for how to tell the story and the different components of the story, and made us kind of think about, all right, well, come up with a story and go through and mold that story within these certain steps. And I won't go too in depth in it, but it was a good exercise. Got me thinking a lot. After that, again, went back to the house. That night was just kind of hanging out by the fire, talking to each other, having some whiskey, that type of thing, enjoying everybody's company. Day 3, again, more workshops. And then after breakfast, we were gone for most of the day. We decided to head out. Jevon's got a Jeep Gladiator, and his parents joined us in their Jeep. Also, Ben, who was in the group, he had an off-road vehicle. So basically, we had a train of 3 cars, and we drove all throughout the mountains in and around Joshua Tree, and it was really cool. I've never done anything like that. I know Vadim was excited. He saw the Joshua trees around and was kind of amazed by. It was just something he had never seen before, because those Joshua trees they look like something out of Dr. Seuss. Excuse me, I got a stuffy nose there. But yeah, the off-roading was a lot of fun. We had some opportunities to get out, fly drones around, again, do some more filming, get some more photos and things like that. After that, we went over to, I think it's called Pioneer Town, if I'm not mistaken, and there's a restaurant there called Pappy and Harriet's, where they're known for their chili, apparently. But just kind of a group dinner out there. And then came back to the house again, just kind of enjoyed each other's company, sat by the fire, sipped some more whiskey, talked shop. And then finally, day 4, which would have been Monday, we just kind of wrapped things up and headed home. And I felt like I really needed this trip. This trip actually originally I was supposed to go to Thailand. Jevon Dovey had arranged another trip for Thailand, and I was scheduled to go to that, but that one had to be canceled. I guess a couple people backed out. So this was actually a really good compromise because it was closer to home. I didn't have to be away from my family quite as long. I would have been gone for about 10 days had I gone to Thailand. So it ended up working out quite nicely. But I definitely needed this. I feel like leading up to that, I was kind of in a bit of a rut, stuck in a groove. I had my routine, and I was a little afraid to veer outside of it. I didn't know what I wanted to do creatively. I didn't know which direction I wanted to take my YouTube channel, and even my side work, my side business, Hafey Digital. A lot of unanswered questions for me. So I wanted to be able to have an opportunity to go and talk to people who are doing things that I want to be doing. And turns out that the kind of the contrast between Jevon and Levi was a really good one. And this was actually their first workshop together. And Jevin, I kept telling him, like, dude, you're a wizard with all this stuff. Like, I've been following Jevin for a while. I actually first met him at NAB in Las Vegas last year. Excuse me. Podcast waits for no one. And he was a nice guy. Gave me, in the few moments that we talked out there, gave me a few tips and things like that. And then, but yeah, just hearing him talk, like, he does a lot of tutorial content. If you're not familiar with Jevin, does a lot of tutorial content about doing better on YouTube, color grading, just video production, a whole plethora of different things, but all basically for creators and YouTubers. And the amount of information that he shared with us, I'll put it this way. Going into this, I wasn't really sure exactly how much I would come away with outside of having hopefully a fun experience with a group of like-minded individuals. I've been creating content for YouTube, I want to say it was since like 2011 or 2013, somewhere in that range, when me and my wife started a YouTube channel, which, by the way, is still up. I'm much less involved in the channel now, but my wife still vlogs there. It's called Pintastic Life, if you'd like to check it out. Originally, it was Pintastic Recipes, and the concept was we would find recipes that looked tasty off of Pinterest. We would try to recreate them and rate them. And then just life happened. I had some other interests, and, things changed. And I kind of went off and did my own thing, but it's cool to see that she still allows that channel to live on. But anyway, the point was, I've been creating YouTube for quite a while, and thought, I have a pretty good understanding of the ins and outs. Not only have I created content for myself on YouTube, I've also created content for, companies that I've worked for, and different brands and things like that. So, but, man, when Jevin started diving into the analytics, and how he uses keywords to optimize his titles, and talking about thumbnails and all this other stuff, I was blown away that I didn't know a lot of what he was saying. It was eye-opening. Hold on. God, that's sexy. I'm just gonna let it ride. Just gotta do it. Gotta power through. Anybody else out there sick? I feel like it's that time of year. Made it almost to the end of the year. I can't remember the last time that I was sick. And now that Christmas break has begun, the cold virus has moved in. Whatever. It is what it is. Life will go on. Anyway, but yeah, he had so much information. I took so many notes. And that actually brings me to why the podcast is now on a separate channel. So one of the workshops we did involved everyone kind of going through. We pulled up everybody's YouTube channel and talked through, hey, how does your header image look? What kind of profile picture do you have? What does your content look like? How are you organizing your playlists? What is basically everything. And they got around to me, and, I kind of talked through what I was interested in doing. And prior to starting this podcast, I didn't think there was a whole lot of consistency in the stuff that I was putting out. I've done a lot of tutorials and things like that, and recreations. I didn't necessarily want to lump myself into just doing that, but I'm also not the biggest vlog enthusiast. I'm not super comfortable on camera, which I guess this is partly helping with being on camera and talking and everything like that. But yeah, I never felt like I had a consistent brand voice. So I thought, okay, maybe I can try something new. I'll try a podcast where once it's set up, as far as, having the camera and all the live stream stuff up and ready to go. Once it's all set up, I can just press play and I can go, and not have to worry too much about planning and everything like that. Because once this podcast is done, it's so easy for me to just grab the audio and push it out to my podcast host, and then I'm done. So, I was explaining that, I basically explained all of that, and that, the first 2 episodes of the podcast I had pushed live on my main channel, and as I'm kind of talking through this, Jevin is he's just got his hand raised. And I'm like, yeah. And he said, you're going to kill your channel if you continue to put the podcast on your main channel. I was a little confused. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think it would be that big of a shift, really. I mean, I'd still be talking about the same things, content for creators, people interested in making for YouTube, tutorials, that type of thing, just information for creators. And he proceeded to bring up a number of examples where people did that to their channels. They shifted over to a podcast only channel and their audience tanked. Now granted, I don't have a ton of audience on my main channel anyway. I think I just passed the 500 subscriber mark, which is, hey, thanks to any 500 of you that are out there watching. But yeah, I was a little upset by that piece of information, just because I had finally felt like, okay, this is something that I feel like I can do and stick with for a while. But he made some really great points and made the suggestion that I would be better off making a separate channel for podcasts. And even eventually, if I do eventually decide to start picking, chunks of clips out of these podcasts, maybe I'll even make an additional YouTube channel that will be just for those clips. But the more that I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it probably makes sense to separate them, because I don't want to stop making other content. And actually, I've got a lot of ideas now for where I want to take my my main channel, which, by the way, I've changed the name of that. The link's still the same, but I've changed the name from Hafey Digital to Ryan Hafey. I think I want to just go with a personal brand. I think it's probably the smart move long term. Let's take a little sip of tea here. So yeah, that's why the podcast is now on its own channel. So that's Jevin. That's kind of his mindset, and the content that he makes is definitely high quality. He focuses a lot on quality, but he's really interested in figuring out not only how to make good stuff, but how to get it in front of as many people as possible. And he managed to double the size of his YouTube channel it was either over the course of 6 months or a year. I don't remember which. Either way, it's impressive, because he had 200,000 subscribers and then he went to over 400,000, and he's still growing. And if you search for certain topics, like, for example, if you went to YouTube, and we're going to do this right now, watch. If you search how to vlog on YouTube, hang on. YouTube, sorry for anyone who's only listening to this, but I'll talk you through it. Okay, so on YouTube, how to vlog is the search. Now, he actually ranks higher than guys like Casey Neistat. Excuse me, Casey Neistat. How to vlog. Boom, there he is right at the top. How to blog, beginner's guide, number 2, Casey Neistat. So that's pretty impressive. The fact that a guy who has significantly fewer subscribers than Casey Neistat currently sitting at 11.7 million, and Jevin Dovey at 419,000, that he's able to rank higher for such a general search term such as vlogging. That's pretty impressive. So, when he starts to show those types of examples, you listen, because the guy obviously knows what he's talking about. And I'm a big numbers guy. I enjoy looking at the numbers, and I like to make decisions based on numbers. So he gave a lot of information. But anyway, enough about Jevin. Talking about Levi. So Levi is very story-based. He's very passion-driven. He's sort of the opposite end of the spectrum compared to Jevin. Not that he doesn't do any things that Jevin does, but he doesn't focus on them nearly as much. His goal is to create the best story possible. It wasn't until this trip that I recalled how I first came across Levi's channel, because I've been subscribed to him for a while. He did a series where he basically, and I need to rewatch it to really remember all the little details of it, but basically he did a series where his goal was to go running with Casey Neistat, the aforementioned Casey Neistat. And I guess he had an opportunity to meet with him face to face, wanted to make it memorable, and ended up kind of getting into Casey's inner circle, which is not easy to do. And he managed to do it. And Casey and him are now friends, and that's what brought me to Levi. But then I stuck around just because of his attention to detail when it comes to his story making and his videos. He did a popular documentary called Untethered about some slackliners. Really cool stuff. The guy's an outdoor adventure filmmaker at heart. Recently, he just did a series. I think he just posted the last video of the series recently on his channel, where him and his wife, they built their own van and drove it up to Alaska. And he did a really good job kind of telling that story through his series of videos. So, listening to kind of their back and forth, I imagine if you were to combine the two of them into one YouTuber, you would have just, it would be a massive success, because they're both very good at what they're very good at. Levi's a very good storyteller. Jevin is a very good teacher and analytics driven guy. So, man, it was overall just a very, very good experience. I'm definitely glad that I did it. And, for anyone out there who is considering doing something like that, or if you're in a place where you're struggling creatively, I would say just go for it. It wasn't cheap. The trip all in, I think, was right around $1,800, but everything was covered except for my travel to get there, which luckily for me, I was able to drive. Although it did cost a little bit more because I got a speeding ticket on the way in. We're not going to spend too much time talking about that because, you can probably guess why. But anyway, I'd been struggling for a while just to really sort of find my voice, find what I wanted to do, figure out what I wanted to do with my side job, with my content. I just had no idea. And this really cemented a lot of things for me and gave me a lot of good ideas. So, if you're in a place where you're struggling, just go for it. If you have the money to spend on it, do some research, make sure the people that you're doing it with understand what they're doing and are knowledgeable so that you're getting your money's worth, and then just go for it, because you're going to thank yourself later. So that brings me to my plans for next year. And really, all of these plans that I have for next year are a result of everything that I learned and thought about and wrote down over the course of this retreat. Excuse me. Do a little snot sniff. Anyway, so my plans for 2020. First things first. When I started my side business, Hafey Digital, and for those who don't know, really, my side business it's just me, and I do a lot of kind of social media related content. No big productions. It's usually kind of go in, run and gun style, and then making videos for clients out of that. And really, at this point, it's just an avenue to make some additional money. I would love to grow the business, but I think that, I think I went about things the wrong way in the beginning. Initially, I thought, okay, I'm going to start a side business, and then I'm going to create a YouTube channel to supplement the side business. But the problem with that was that I wasn't putting enough attention to the YouTube channel and focusing only on the side work. And as a result, I got a decent amount of jobs. Remember, I have a day job as well. So the amount of work that I could do on the side was a little bit limited, and that's fine. But I was getting work, getting paid, probably not as much as I should, not charging as much as I should, but I was getting paid. But it got to a point where I was like, I'm just not enjoying what I'm doing. I worked at a marketing agency a little over 5 years ago for about 8 months, and I realized that that was not the life for me. And yet here I was now essentially running my own agency in a way. I was back working with clients, back creating, social media content for clients. And I just sort of found myself stuck. I wasn't inspired to make the stuff that I was making. I was taking basically every job that I could get, and I realized this is probably not sustainable for a long term. So my goal for 2020 is to pull back initially on my side work and focus more now on YouTube, my main channel, producing content for my main channel, as well as this podcast. Hold on. Take a quick break. Oh, yeah. Ugh. Hashtag relatable. So in 2020, I plan to turn down a lot of jobs that I've been doing, unless they're, quick, maybe it's a quick videography job where I'm not doing any post-processing or editing. I'll do that for some nightlife gigs every now and then. Sometimes photography jobs can be pretty quick and easy and make some easy money there. But if it's a bigger project, unless I'm super interested in doing the project, I'm just going to turn it down and really focus my attention solely on YouTube. And the goal in doing that is that hopefully, really my ultimate goal would be to have a career through YouTube, creating content for the internet, creating my own digital products that I can serve to my audience who, and this is not just a money grab. Like, I want to do this to help people. And part of that can be creating digital projects, and in turn, as long as I'm providing enough value, hopefully my audience in turn will want to support me in the things that I do. So hopefully that value can flow in both directions. I need to focus more on the content. I need to focus more on my channel, and the goal then from that will be hopefully I can have more control over the side projects that I do end up taking on. The goal is really to be able to say no more often. I want to be able to say no more and then say yes less, but to the things that I really, really want to focus on. And quite honestly, the things that are going to make me more money. I don't want to waste my time anymore with some of these smaller jobs. Yeah, I could make some money. Maybe I can buy some new camera gear and stuff like that, but it's not making me happy. And that should really, out of all this, be the ultimate goal. But I learned quickly growing up, it's like when you get out of college, my thought process getting out of college was like, I'm going to get out of college. I'm going to get a good job at a nice corporation. I'm going to move up the ladder, and that's going to be the key to happiness. And I learned very quickly that's not the case for me. If for anyone watching or listening, if that's your thing, and if that's what you're into and that works for you and that makes you happy, please, by all means, continue to do that. I've just learned in my life that working for someone else is not what's going to keep me sustainably happy. So yeah, as far as the main channel, youtube.com/Hafey Digital, I've created a new slogan, make to the max. I want to make content for creators, and I don't want to pigeonhole myself into any particular type of content, but I do want to do tutorials. I want to continue to do those because I feel like, I feel like I'm good at them. I feel like based on the feedback from others that others appreciate them as well. But also I like to do tutorials every now and then because I like to help people. I want to do recreations. I've done some in the past where, filmmaker Brandon Lee, I recreated an effect from one of his videos, as well as another filmmaker. I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head, but I like seeing what other people are doing that's interesting and trying to recreate it. And then challenges. And this one I think I'm going to have the most fun with And this is basically like, for example, I want to try to, one of the things that's on my list to do is to create a day to night moving drone hyperlapse. So basically the drone will be moving in the sky and it'll transition from day into night. I don't know how to do that. I've never done it before, but I want to try to figure it out. And I think sometimes that type of content for people, like if you're, put it this way, I don't see myself in the expert as everything. I don't see myself as an expert in everything, nor do I want to be seen as an expert in everything. I'll do tutorials when I know what I'm talking about. And then other times when I have no idea how to do something, but I feel like I have a good idea of how to figure it out, then I'm going to share that same process as well. I think it's okay. I think a lot of people struggle with kind of being vulnerable, if you want to call it that. I think people, they produce content and feel like they have to be the ultimate expert on everything. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on people, and I don't want that pressure, and I don't need it. So, when it's something that I don't know how to do, I'll let you know, and then we'll just figure it out together. So that's it. Tutorials, recreations, and challenges, and the occasional vlog every now and then if I feel like it. Maybe even an occasional short film if, I might put together a short film based on some of the stuff that I captured from the creator retreat last week. I just don't want to I can't say that. I just don't want to pigeonhole myself into any one particular form of content. I don't necessarily want to be known as that guy who only does tutorials or that guy who only does vlogs, because part of my problem is I'm interested in a lot of everything. I have a lot of different interests, and I want to be able to create content around all of it. So that's the goal. So to recap, goals for 2020, podcast on a separate channel, going to continue to do the podcast, going to continue to upload the audio version so you can listen to it in your favorite podcast player, which, by the way, the podcast is now available everywhere. I use Anchor as my podcast host, and for whatever reason, there was some sort of hold up. It wasn't being distributed to the other players, so it took a little bit longer. But now, as far as I can see, it just got accepted by Apple Podcasts, as well as like Stitcher, Google Podcasts, all those places. So basically, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can listen to this one. And then for the main channel, we're going to make to the max. We're going to make content for creators, and we're going to focus heavy on that in 2020 and focus a little bit less on the side work for now, with the ultimate goal of being able to do projects that I'm really passionate about and that I can make a little bit more money off of and make it a little bit more sustainable. So, love to know everybody's thoughts on that. I think my heart is pretty well set on it, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, that's the story. That's what we're gonna do. Let's get one more little sip of tea before we wrap things up here. How long have we been going for? About 34 minutes, something like that. Anyway, well, thank you very much for watching and or listening to this episode of the podcast. If you could, it would be great if you could subscribe to the podcast channel just so we can get a little bit more visibility here. The plan going forward is still going to be doing new podcasts every Sunday as far as I can maintain it, if not even more frequently. But that's the show. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.